Welcome back, everybody, to another not only live stream repair, but a bit of a teardown special. Here we've got the new Siri remote with USB-C. Yesterday, before our repairs, we tore down the new Apple TV 4K with Ethernet, took a look at the new A15 chipset under there, and a few other chips around the board. But we did not tear down the remote because I wanted to set it up after the stream and play around with it for a little bit so that I could give you guys just my first thoughts on using it before tearing down an extra remote, and it showed up today. So yeah, first thoughts coming from the previous generation 4K, the slightly thicker one with the actual cooling vent and fan on the bottom there. I gotta say, the new one is noticeably snappier. Primarily, I pretty much use it exclusively just for YouTube. Sometimes I use the Apple Music app to play music to my HomePods if I'm not using my iPhone's AirPlay. But for YouTube, the most noticeable difference is just navigating the UI and opening videos. It's instant. As soon as I select a video, it's already playing. It's insane. Whereas with this one, there was always like anywhere from like a second or two of delay. In addition to the audio taking a second or so to actually start playing. Whereas on my new Apple TV, that problem is completely gone. It immediately plays the video with the audio, so I no longer miss the first half to full second or so of audio of my YouTube videos whenever I'm watching them. That by itself, to me, is worth upgrading from the previous generation. Also, the fact that it's completely passively cooled, and it's a little thinner. Also, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the remote seemed way more responsive, too. I always had weird problems where, like, it would interpret, like, phantom presses or phantom touches, and like a lot of times it would just randomly scroll really fast, wildly in one direction, even if I'm no longer touching it. But I have not experienced any of those issues, and the new remote so far has been incredibly responsive. So let's open this up, tear it down, and then we will fix up some HomePods. We've got a couple from yesterday to catch up on. First one from Chandra. Their HomePod had no power, and it ended up being a less than usual no power case. There's an issue with their logic board, so we're going to take another look at that here today and see if we can't get it working again. We've also got Kelvin's yesterday that we left off with no bass. It has most likely an issue on the amplifier, so we'll try to get that taken care of. Then we've got Donte and Jacob with no power, and also Glendon with some classic death farts. So we've got the wide range of interesting issues to take care of here today. Let's get started. So let's get this guy opened up. Make sure our camera stays focused, and I am going to pull up the iFixit teardown for the previous generation remote. It is safe to assume the only thing they changed was the USB port, but maybe there are other minor changes or different chips they used on the inside, and that's why we're doing this. We want to see the differences. Some of us just care that much, even if it doesn't really matter. So it's probably going to come apart just like the previous remote. What else we got in here? Yes. It doesn't taste that good. Okay. Nope. Yeah, I guess you rip it. Rip it and dip. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the two remotes. I've got my calipers here so we can verify some dimensions are exactly the same. And you can see on the bottom there, this is the USB-C one, and this is the Lightning one. USB-C port's a little thicker. .6 millimeters on the USB-C, 1.7 millimeters on the Lightning port. As far as the base thickness, we're looking at 9 millimeters on the previous gen Lightning remote. .2 millimeters on the USB-C one. Let me double check that. This is also a really cheap caliper, so take these results with a grain of salt. Yeah, 9.2 on both of them. So they are the exact same thickness. Lengthwise, they are probably also going to be exactly the same. The USB-C one is 136 millimeters. The Lightning one is also 136 millimeters. And who's surprised? I had a case for my old Apple remote, and I was able to just put my new remote right into it. So no problems there. Let's take it apart. What have we got on the bottom here? Those look like probably some T3s or T2s. I'm going to cheat and look at iFixit's guide here. iFixit says it's T2. Alright, and I've got a T2 here. Oh, these are Penelope P2. I've got a Penelope P2 right here. That came right off. Alright, what do they do next here? So, looks like they just pry the buttons out, so let's give that a shot. There we go. That was actually real easy. Could have probably done that with a plastic tool. Avoided scratching that up. I personally don't care that much. I'm gonna beat the crap out of this thing. Okay, so then it looks like they pull the buttons off too. Not sure we're gonna get those buttons out. Let's see here. These are fitting my Torx T4 bit pretty well. Oh, and goes in. Oops, see? It's just glued on there. We'll have to glue that back. Let's see. We need to move that nifty little Siri side button out of the way. Otherwise, the power button will obstruct the text slide and hinder its removal. If you can pull off the power button beforehand, it might be enough to just slide the Siri button sled back and get the internals out. There we go. And then there's another screw here. Okay, what are they doing about that power button? There we go. That was kind of brutal, but not fatal. Okay, so this should be able to just slide out now. Is that what my understanding here? Get that Siri button out of here. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. All right, is this gonna move yet? No, this thing ain't moving. How did they do this? Yeah, give me that video. Alright, so they unscrewed the bottom. Yeah. They popped the bottom off. They popped the button off. We got those 2 screws, or those 3 screws actually. Got the Siri button out. Oh, and it pulls out from the top. Okay. That is not happening here. How did they do that? They just pushed that thing straight up and out. Oh. We got him. You just have to use some force. Oh, goodness. Whoa. Woo! Let me try to recover my tools here now. Was not expecting that. Where's... I lost my trusty pick. That is okay. Everything else we need is here. Okay. Wow. Epic. So, here's our first look inside the new USB-C remote. Let's start at that USB-C port down there. There's our battery. Then we've got a bunch of buttons here, so it looks like we've got more screws to take out. Let me see if I have a better bit that fits that. Oh yeah. That would be the Torx T3. So many screws for a remote. Okay, so here's the rest of the remote. Here's your battery, connector for the battery, right up here. Let's get you guys closer. Here we go. So you've got the battery connector there. You've got the USB-C connector that runs down to the port. And that is it. Pretty simple. I wonder if this is the only difference. If we look at their teardown, they use the NRF52840 Bluetooth chip. And on here, it is the N. I need a camera lens for that. N52840. Yeah, that's the same chip. Same Bluetooth chip. That's the Bluetooth 5 Zigbee and NFC. The 343S92, that's the touch controller. It's the same one as the last one. Yeah, everything looks exactly the same. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Where does the battery connect? On the old one. Really? Okay, so there's a difference on the Lightning one. On the Lightning remote, the previous gen, the ribbon cable here for the USB port is also for the battery, and it goes in there. But on the new USB-C Siri remote, the battery has its own dedicated cable right here and connector on the remote board, and the ribbon cable here is purely for the USB. Well, let's make sure of that by pulling this remote out, or pulling this battery out. I have not fixed bricked HomePods, unfortunately. What made you think that? Oh, no, you're asking Golden. Golden probably just replaced logic boards. Oh, battery's gone. I need you. Okay. There's our battery, and that's the only connector for that battery. So definitely nice to see that this is the battery replacement's going to be a little simpler and safer. I mean, not considering all of the steps you have to take to get it apart. And then your USB-C cable here, or USB-C port, it's just on its own little cable, and that's it. I believe for now, that is pretty good for a first look at the inside of this new remote. I'm sure people will have questions and want to see certain things closer up, so we will leave it at this. I'll leave it apart for now. And if you have anything that you want to see closer about this, the inside of this new remote, then feel free to leave a comment, leave a chat message, and we will do that. But in the meantime, we've got some HomePods to fix. All right. That was fun. So, who's up first for HomePods? We've got Chandra with no power. And we've already taken theirs apart. Do you think Apple serial locks the parts on the new pods? I don't think so, and I don't see any reason for them to. Unlike on the iPhones and iPads and MacBooks, where they kind of have like somewhat justification, like security reasons or whatever, and also with the prevalence of third-party or unauthorized repairs on those products, they have more reason to add the additional cost and time that it requires to lock those parts down. With the new HomePod, however, I don't think, and I think they probably figured that it wasn't going to be as big of a deal. So they probably didn't even. That is something that I want to do, though. It's going to be kind of tough for me to do it, but I am going to be tearing down 2 of the new HomePods and swapping all the parts between them just to verify my theory. But I don't believe that they serial locked any of the parts in the new HomePod. So you should be able to swap everything around, but we will confirm that ourselves. Okay, here we go. So, we figured out yesterday that their logic board was the reason why it wasn't powering on. So what we're going to do is figure out why. Let me see, where is my... I need to charge up my thermal camera here while I remember that. It's probably dead. Oh no, it's got 61%. Nice. So, no power issues are usually a shorted diode on the amplifier. No, swapping just the logic boards wouldn't be enough because they could, well, let me think about it. No, you're right. Yeah, we could just swap logic boards. You're correct. But we're basically tearing them down halfway to get to the logic board anyways. My main obstacle for tearing the new HomePod apart is the way that the drawstring is held together. It's just simply too short for you to keep it together when you loosen the mesh up, and there's just no easy way to make it longer. But I'm willing to give it a shot. So with no power logic board issues, or sorry, normally with no power issues, it's that diode on the amplifier. But in this case, we saw less power draw than we normally see for that diode failure. We only saw around 2 watts of power draw here. So usually that signifies a short on the logic board as opposed to that more common failure. All right, we got our EMF shields off. Nothing looks terrible on here. Let me just make sure that this amplifier works. This is just a random amp that I have sitting around for testing. We'll need it to power this logic board on. All right, this amp looks good. So here's the plan. We will supply power to this logic board, and then we're going to point our thermal camera at it and see if we can find any hot spots which would indicate a short. Pretty average electronics diagnostics here. Okay, we've got everything we need. Oh, it works. Is it just their display? It is. Oh, I should have known. Check this out. If we get real close, the reason why their HomePod wasn't powering on, and I should have known better, because where is their top plastic piece? Their top plastic was cracked, which usually indicates drop damage. It was probably dropped on its head, which resulted see this corner right here? That's nice and attached to the board. That corner looks good. That corner, however, I can fit my tool under that. Look at that. So, that is why this no longer powers on, because the display was smushed in. I'll take it. I will take it. Now we don't have to mess around with the logic board. We can just put it back together. And then we are going to replace the power diode on Chandra's amplifier, just for good measure. We don't want there to be a bad diode in there and us just completely leave it alone. Even if it's working fine now, it might fail soon. We're gonna get it all fixed up. Oh, thank you for the compliment. I've only been doing this for like a year, so it takes time to grow and all that jazz. I will take all 3 of those sponsorships. Yes, please. Okay, logic board all buttoned up. Let's get their amp out of their old shell. They're paying us to replace their old nasty white mesh with a fresher black mesh. And I've already got that shell ready to go, so we're actually going to put their amp into a different shell instead of pulling the mesh off and replacing it. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, amplifier. Their diode on here has a date code of 1746K. So that is within the date range of diodes that we tend to see fail. So we are going to replace this even though it's working fine right now, because chances are it's going to fail. We've seen plenty of other HomePods come in for other issues, and diodes with much older or newer date codes still working just fine. We're pretty sure this is a bad batch, and that date code indicates it right there. Alright, easy peasy. Let's get our text up on there. There we go. Now we know what we're doing. We've got our new diode over here. We're going to slap some flux on it. This is Chip Quick NC191. This is the stuff. If you don't want to get that Amtech stuff that the other channels recommend, then go with the Chip Quick NC191. And then we're just going to put some fresh solder on this diode. That is my Mayum 6337 solder. Not that it really matters all that much. I personally believe that a good flux matters more than a good solder. Plays fine sometime, then pops and restarts. Yeah, it could be bad caps. It could be something else wrong with the amp. You may need a different amplifier board just to confirm that. I've also seen physical damage cause popping and restarting. Physical damage causes all sorts of weird behavior. So it's always nice to have a full extra set of HomePod parts so that you can swap things around and nail down what's failing. And then you can spend your time working on that one single part instead of sinking a whole bunch of time into potentially the wrong part. Like we almost did with Chandra's HomePod here. We thought the logic board was causing the no power. But when we were testing it to turn it on and check for shorts, we were using a different display. Just a completely random display that I had sitting around. And it started turning on. So, get yourself some broken HomePods, get yourself some spare parts, and you'll be set. There will be nothing that you can't at least figure out what part is causing it, as far as like board, like amp board, power supply board, display board, a logic board. ribbon cable. We may not know exactly which component on that board is failing, but if you've got all the spare parts, you can at least know which full part you need. Alright, we're going to grab a new display for Chandra here. This will be the one that we put their HomePod back together with. Connect our subwoofer. That's got a connection to our multimeter over here, so we can check it for any DC offset. Every amplifier is going to have DC offset. It's a matter of how well they filter it. You want to keep it below 50 millivolts. So if we see less than 50 millivolts on our meter here, we're good to go. If it's more than 50 millivolts, then we'll want to replace our filters there. Nope, he does not exist. Nope. What do we got?
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Oh, aren't we all? We've got an excellent DC offset result. It passes with flying colors. So this is ready to be put back together. There's all that. Here's the black shell that we will be putting this into. While we're screwing these 14 screws into the amplifier, if you're looking for more information on doing your own HomePod repairs or my contact info so you can send your HomePod in to be repaired here on the channel, check my website. It's at the bottom right of the screen there, nixfix.com. It's going to redirect you to my actual website, Track 44. But there you will find all the info that you will need to fix everything that we currently know how to fix and any parts that you'd need to do that. We don't sell parts, but I'll tell you parts that we know and where you could get them. Oh, also one other thing. Oh my goodness, we hit 1,000 subscribers. I cannot believe that we hit it that fast. It feels like, and it may even have been just last week where I was checking and we were only at like 800 and something. But here we are. So I think Saturday or Sunday this weekend we will have a special stream where we hold a giveaway for a first generation Apple HomePod, and the winner will get to choose which color that I dye it for them. They can leave it white if they want, they can choose black if they want, or they can pick from any of RIT's Dye More for Synthetics line. Not the all-purpose dye, because those don't work very well, but any of the Dye More for Synthetic products work great. Any story behind the Track 44 name? Not really. It was kind of like, so, long time ago when I was hanging out with my friends, this must have been like 10, 15 years ago at this point, there was one anime that we were really into called Serial Experiments Lane. And there's this scene where she gets really serious and she just says, play track 44. And the computer starts playing track 44, and it's this like cool, like hard techno kind of beat thing. And it was just kind of like the thing that our friends would say whenever like shit was hitting the fan is like, play track 44, and that was like the soundtrack for like cleaning the shit off the fan kind of thing. So I took that name and I made a TeamSpeak server for our friends to hang out at. I bought the name track44.moe as a domain name when .moe TLDs launched, and I used that to give people a TeamSpeak server, and we just hung out there for a while. And from there, I went. Discord launched, and I made a track 44 Discord server for my friends and I to hang out, and got met more people. We started doing projects online like Mastodon instances and just other dumb online community things, and there's been ups and downs in the community's popularity, if you really want to call it a community, but at the end of the day, it's really just kind of like what I call like my place that I hang out, and people that know me can come hang out, and we can shoot shit, So, not a very exciting story for the name. But it's got one. Almost forgot to screw in our power supply here. One other thing I'll mention here, if you're looking at buying broken HomePods online from somebody, even like somewhere like eBay, and you want to have it directly shipped to me for repairs and then I'll ship it to you, you're absolutely welcome to do that. During the eBay checkout process, you have the opportunity to specify the shipping address. That's when you want to enter my UPS mailbox address on my website. You don't want to purchase the item, pay for it, and then message the seller after the fact asking for a different shipping address, because that is not covered under any buyer or seller protection. So they're not going to be inclined to do that. However, it's totally fine for you to enter whatever shipping address you want during the checkout process. That covers everybody because it's on record that the seller is supposed to ship it to that location, to that address. Will the giveaway include folks worldwide? That is something that I've been trying to think about. I'll say yes, with a caveat. The giveaway will include people worldwide. Anybody is legally allowed to enter the giveaway that's normally illegally allowed to enter any typical giveaway. With worldwide, however, if you're not in the US, I will cover up to $50 of the shipping. Anything more than that, I'll ask you to chip in if that's an acceptable, if that's even legal. I don't know. I'd have to look. But if that's an acceptable compromise and we can do that, then that's what we will do. And I think maybe even Yeah, I'll think if there's a better way to do it than that, but I think that might be pretty good. What do you guys think? It won't be my only giveaway either, that's for sure. We'll definitely be doing more here soon. I'm curious what color you guys would want your HomePod to be if you could choose. If you could choose any color in the world, what would you want your HomePod to be? Blue like the Mini. That's a good color. All of the blues, there's a few different blues that Rit has, and I've tried them all I think by now. And every time I try a new blue, it just ends up being my favorite. The most recent one being the Sapphire Blue. We did a live stream doing that Sapphire Blue if you want to check it out on my channel. And that ended up being the best result we've ever had. Navy blue's a pretty good one. It ends up usually looking like a little more like on the purple than the blue side, but it's kind of got a bit of a purple bluish look to it. I think that one ended up being my wife's favorite color. How will I be picking the winner of the giveaway? I will probably be doing some sort of thing that will look through my list of subscribers and it'll just pick a random subscriber. We'll do it live on stream too. And then we will reach out to them if they're in the chat at the moment. If they're live, if they're watching the stream, then they can tell us what color they want, and we can get it started for them ASAP. So pretty much the only thing you need to do is be subscribed. We'll have to guess the DC offset. That's good. We might use that on another giveaway. Oh, needs a new frame too. I'm not surprised. This thing was pretty beat up. Let's give you a new frame. That's okay. I got plenty of these. Oh yeah, of course, you guys. Well, it'll be on the weekend, so I'll be able to do it much earlier in the day. We'll probably do it maybe. How does like somewhere between 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time sound? Is that a good time for people? Hey Siri, what time is 9 a.m. Pacific time in European time?
It's 5:58 p.m.
No, okay. There's probably something you can ask her to convert that. As soon as I said it, I knew I was going to trigger someone's. I realized the mistake I had made. I apologize to all of you, fellow for your future giveaway. Maybe it could just be people in the chat who are actively watching. That is a great idea that I've considered, and we will definitely be doing as well. I love the idea of rewarding people that are active and participate, as opposed to people that just, you know, they try to get what they want and rip and dip. See, this is why Apple needs to let us change the trigger words too. ready to get capped. Okay. Does it work? Yes, it does.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Oh, listen to that full-bodied Siri voice. You don't get that with the Gen 2.
I'm having trouble.
We're all having trouble, my buddy. That looks good. We'll clean up this top glass before we send it back, of course. But they are ready to go. With them taken care of, let's catch up on Kelvin's here. Kelvin had no bass. Ended up looking like a issue with the amplifier, so we took a pause on his so we can make our time more efficient here. But we are back with Kevin's to finish the job. Show the dirty HomePod that became this nice one. Oh yeah. Something else in it. Okay, so with no bass, if there's no obvious visual damage, then it's the next most likely thing is going to probably be that capacitor that we have a note of on our website under the common issues section for no bass. There's a capacitor over here that loves to short out and fail. George, that doesn't look like smoke. It looks more like, I don't know, it's blacker than it is, like, I don't know, kind of ashy. Okay, so as I was saying, it's usually this cap right here that tends to go bad and fail the bass. Let's see with our multimeter, if we're lucky. If we're lucky, this cap is shorted and that's all it needs. So that's ground, that's what we expect. Oh wow, sure enough, that cap is dead. So let's pull it off, confirm that the cap is the source of the short, and then we will pull a good one off of another board. That is not the source of our short, I believe. Oh no. Okay. Well, I prepared for this, and I don't have all the time in the world to poke around to this amplifier board, so we're going to pull out another amplifier for Kelvin here, and I will figure that one out later. Let's see. Here's a good board. It works just fine. The only thing we need to do with it is replace our Schottky barrier diode on there. Just for preventative maintenance. It's got a date code of 1736K, so it's probably fine to leave it there, but we're going to replace it anyways. We don't want it failing. We don't want to be wrong on the idea that it's a bad batch of these diodes and start seeing these ones failing as well. You know the deal. A little bit of flux, a lot of flux, a lot more flux. Can you add can you mod a HomePod 2 to add the 2 missing tweeters back? Not without some serious modification. We're talking about adding additional amplifiers. You can't just wire 2 extra tweeters to the existing amplifiers because each amplifier is dedicated for the one tweeter that it's connected to. I don't think it's got the power to support more than one of those, and if you tried, it probably wouldn't give you the optimal performance. You would need to find a way to add those additional amplifiers as well as feed the audio signal to them, and then you can add those additional tweeters. So basically, not without going absolutely insane. Possible? Anything is possible. Let's cool this board off real quick, and then we will see if it all works fine still, and then we will put Kelvin's HomePod back together. I'm gonna have some serious muscle in my right arm if we keep getting 5 to 10 HomePods to fix a day. And people are gonna look at me funny when they see that my right arm's bigger than my left arm. They're gonna think the wrong things. Hey George, get some good sleep. Thanks for dropping by. And hope that you get that HomePod that we'll be giving away here soon. I hope that you all get the HomePod that we're giving away here soon. Alright, ribbon cable for the logic board, connector for our power to supply 124 volts AC at 60 hertz, logic board to provide the bits and bops to the amplifier, and of course the subwoofer that will produce those bips and bops. We've got power. We will now turn on our multimeter that is connected to our subwoofer right over there and confirm that not only does this amp produce good sound, but that it has DC offset within spec. Within spec is anything less than 50 millivolts. So here we've got an excellent result of 2, maybe 3 millivolts. 2, maybe 1 millivolt, even better. So that means we can put this thing back together. So we'll take our test parts off here. Can't put the thing back together with all that stuff on there. Drop in our amplifier first, and then we've got 14 screws for that. Oh, that landed right into the screw hole. We'll just go for it. Nope, guess not. Yeah, that's what I felt too when we did our teardown of the HomePod and I gave my first impressions. The vocals definitely felt clearer and crisper. The mids and highs definitely feel like that. The mids and lows definitely felt tighter and more controlled. But the OG, the first gen, still just has, it feels like it's just got more raw power behind it, like more oomph. And then the problem with Dolby Atmos tracks is a lot of times it's an afterthought. Atmos is an afterthought, not something that they had in mind during production of the music. So you get this like cheesy feeling, and sometimes it's just not even working correctly. Like it just is broken, and so it just sounds awful. It sounds weird. Get their power supply in, plug in the AC connector. I kind of get why they don't let you pair the first and second gens. Because acoustically speaking, they're different, so it's not going to be the experience that they really wanted you to have. But at the end of the day, kind of let people do what they want, yeah? It's not like there's a problem with the old and the new gen hardware keeping in sync with each other, because you can still AirPlay to the both of them without a problem. They just don't want left channels coming from one speaker and then right channel coming from a different speaker, and those two different speakers sounding different. Yeah. Welcome to the chat, Mayushi. Welcome, welcome. Every day is HomePod Day. for me? I can't wait. I haven't had anything to eat since that guy dropped his HomePod off from Canada a few weeks ago and he had Timbits. What do we got? Knock, knock. Let's see, who's after Kelvin here? We've got Donte with no power. Where's me knife?
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
We've got bass.
I'm having trouble.
And our volume buttons light up nice and even. So Kelvin is ready to go. All fixed up. They got their bass back. So now we will look at Donte's with a classic no power issue. Let's update the text on our screen. And of course we will start by checking our symptoms with a known good power cable. And we see no response, nothing lighting up. And our kilowatt here says we're pulling about 4 watts from the wall. So that looks like the most common failure with the diode shorting out on the amplifier. That's that part that you see us replace every single time we open a HomePod. This is why we do it. So we're going to crack this open and see if we're correct. Okay, here's a little trick that one of our viewers, Anthony, had showed us here. If we drip a little bit of rubbing alcohol along the inside of the basket here, it's going to weaken the glue that holds this basket down significantly. And in some cases, you can just pull this off by hand, even. But at the very least, this will significantly reduce the amount of force that we need to pry this top basket off. So it's worth the extra few seconds for us to do. Especially with how hard some of these have proven to be to crack open. Like, it just comes right up now. Like, there's almost nothing there. This means that most anybody can do this. Look, I don't even have to pull on it. It's just off. I love it. And now we don't have to put so much force on these screws for the subwoofer. You barely scratch or bend them now. It's great. Win-win. Check the condition of our subwoofer. If we look inside of the inspection port there, we can see the voice coil looks nice and healthy. Moving it gently back and forth, it feels nice and smooth. And it smells like a happy little subwoofer should. So there's no reason to be concerned about their subwoofer giving up anytime soon. We're just going to keep tearing this down for what we came here for. That amplifier deep down. Diode with date code 1746K. Yep, that diode is dead. So we shall now replace it. Easy does it. Does the diode you replace have a stronger reliability than the original? Is the problem specific with specific HomePods from a certain assembly line? It doesn't appear to be from a specific assembly line. It appears to be a specific batch of these diodes. There's a date code on them that we only see 1746K or 1748K date codes failing, which is why we think it's a bad batch. We see plenty of other diodes in these HomePods through other repairs that have older or newer date codes that otherwise work just fine, and yet we only see these date codes failing. So just by simply replacing the diode with the same spec part and all that, just a newer one, is going to more than likely fix or prevent the problem from occurring. I also did a little bit of testing, and even under load, this part does not see really any significant load. Nothing really anything to be concerned with that this part would be under. So it's not like the part they used was inadequate. They just had a bad batch of them. Yeah, and it's kind of slimy because at this point, Apple almost certainly has to know, right? Unless we've just been taking so many of these failed samples from them that they don't have enough to go off and even make that assumption or conclusion. But I doubt that. I doubt that for some reason. I feel like they get enough customers calling them with the issue in the first place to complain. They tell them, pay us $300 for another one that has the same potential problem. And you're hosed. Then they email me all frustrated that Apple told them to F off and to give them money doing it. So they never get the chance to get their hands on a lot of these. But I still think they know. They gotta know. It's them. It's these guys. It's Apple. Well, we've got power, so this seems to be working. Let's get our multimeter turned on so we can confirm our offset measurement here. We've got good base, and our offset is sitting pretty at 2 millivolts. Awesome. Let's get this put back together. You commented that the diode of the new HomePod is much newer. The diodes come with a newer number that indicates the week and year of the manufacturer. Are the new ones from 2023? I'd have to look at the live stream replay to check. But they looked obviously newer. I'd have to double check. Great question though. They look slightly larger in size, too. I've been looking at that HomePod for years and got sad every time thinking about how it doesn't work, even though I bought more of them. Yeah, that's part of the problem, isn't it? Is Apple will never learn their lesson because we can't learn our lesson either, but it's just they're too damn good, you know? It's like, you know it's bad for you, but you still eat it. Well, I wouldn't be doing this thing for others if I didn't like this product myself so much. That and the fact that there was no one else actually offering repairs for these seemed to me like just a golden opportunity, even if it's only temporary. Maybe we'll expand and get into repairing more things, more niche products that people can't typically find repair services for. That's what I like to get into. I like to get into the things that people don't normally go into. Apple isn't charging you to replace that diode. Apple is charging you to throw your old HomePod in the trash, in the recycling bin, and give you another one entirely. That's like one of the really frustrating things about all of this is they just dismantle them and recycle them. They don't even attempt to fix any of them. Even if it's just a matter of restoring the software, they're like, nah, screw that. We're just gonna get that metal out of you. I am really okay with how much more repairable the new HomePod is. It looked like they put effort into it. I'm really hoping self-service parts are available. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be a dream come true. Can you imagine if they sold like a dongle that you just plugged into the bottom of your HomePod so you could restore the software for it? Can you imagine if they just stuck a USB port on the damn thing so we could plug it into a computer and restore it? We need the firmware. We need the firmware. Give me the firmware. Give me that. It's just give me that simple firmware file to restore these things. That's all I need. That's all I'm asking for. Apple. I know you've got it. Gib. Let's see if she works. We've got power. Who's up next? We've got Glendon with some death farts.
I'm having trouble connecting to the...
Alright, Donte checks all out. Let's move on to Glendon with some death farts. Update the text on our screen. Reset our progress. First, we will, of course, check our symptoms. We're expecting it to power on. However, with death farts, I'm expecting to hear a pretty severe pop when it goes, after it turns on and we wake it up here, which is a sign that the filtering caps could be going bad. When they go bad enough, they allow upwards of 3 to 6 volts of DC through the amp, which will trigger those death farts. Yep. So we've got a bit of a pop there. Let's get this apart, and before we actually do any repairs, we're going to connect this to our multimeter to confirm that we've actually got DC offset issues, and then we will do the repair. I think that is a phenomenon that a lot of Apple product owners tend to do more often than any other company's products customers. Just because Apple puts so much effort into their packaging, people feel like it's worth it keeping it. And they also feel like it'll add value to it as a collector's item eventually in the future. Hey, thanks for dropping by, Mayushi, and if I don't talk to you until I get that surprise, then thank you ahead of time. I'm looking forward to it. I forgot that I leave these in now. Saves me a little bit of time. Woofer checks out. Looks nice and happy. Okay, we've gotten far enough where we can test this out really quick. We're going to plug our test woofer in here so we can use our multimeter to see if this has DC offset issues. Okay, so we've got 150 millivolts of offset and it's continuing to grow at a fair rate. So that is certainly confirming for us what we thought was the issue here, causing those death farts, which is our filters going bad and allowing that DC voltage through. So we will continue the teardown, get this amp out, and do our repairs. Okay, up first we are going to replace our filtering capacitors. That's those four big caps there to the right of that DAC chip. Those look fantastic. So, let's take care of our Schottky barrier diode. That's the part that fails and causes no power, so nothing to do with the issue here, but it does have a date code of 1746K, so regardless of that date code, we are replacing it. All done with repairs. Let's give this board a second to cool off, and then we will check and see if our DC offset is under control. Alright, we still got our base, that's always good. And our offset is now at around, going to probably sit around 10 millivolts. Alright. Significantly better than the 150 millivolts that we saw before, and far below the 50 millivolts that we like to keep it under. So this is ready to put back together. What do you estimate is your time per HomePod? It depends on how much how much I end up having to talk in between or during a HomePod. The fastest we've gotten one done, I think, was about 20 minutes. On average, it takes us about 25 to 30 minutes. So you got a pretty, your guess was spot on there. If I'm really involved and there's a lot of chatting around, it can take upwards of 45 minutes to an hour. We had a live stream a few days ago recently, actually, where it was like that. Ended up taking us like 3 hours to get through 3 HomePods, I think. But we are cruising today. Oh, damn. Well, much appreciated for the plug. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. It always surprises me when people still don't at least know that these issues are repairable. They think that I still today get people emailing me saying that they only recently looked for HomePod repairs and found me after sitting on it for years, broken. But it makes sense. People, you know, a broken HomePod isn't usually someone's priority. Poor little HomePod. I'll take care of you. Okay, here we go. not really much to test here. We'll have to factory reset it and confirm overnight that it's still good to go. We're just checking to make sure that it's at least
I'm
put
having
together
trouble connecting
fine
to
right
the
now.
For more info,
Don't interrupt me.
I'm having trouble.
Don't raise your voice at me. Well, Glendon looks good to go for now, so we will test that overnight and bring forth the final repair for today. This one comes from Jacob with a classic no power. So we should be able to zip through this one pretty quickly. Let's reset the text on our screen and check our symptoms. Known good power cable. No response. And 4 to 6 watts of power draw. So looks to be the same diode issue as many. Let's find out. we got 1748K, and it's dead. What's it got? We got power. We got bass. And we've got acceptable offset. So let's put this back together and we'll be all done for the day. What's it got? It's got power. And
I'm having trouble connecting to the
very
internet.
good.
I'm having trouble.
Very good. Jacob checks all out. And with that, we've got everything sent in today fixed up. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're looking for more info on doing your own repairs or reaching out to me to send yours in to be repaired here on the channel, check out my website, nixfix.com, where I've got that dedicated section for common issues and how you can repair them, and my contact info. Hope you all enjoyed this live stream repair.